Healing doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps, like sunrise slowly filling a dark room. Carl Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." That may be why healing feels invisible. It's not about pain disappearing. It's about transforming it. Maybe you think you're still broken because you're not completely fixed yet. But here's the truth. Healing begins when you stop trying to go back to who you were before the pain. Instead, you become who you were always meant to be after it. The world teaches us to measure progress by what we can show: smiles, success, positivity. But Jung knew something deeper. Healing is an inner process. What happens beneath the surface matters more than what's visible. It happens in the silence, in the pauses, in the moments where you simply breathe and make it through another day. So let's explore 6 signs that you've healed more than you realize. Not the loud, obvious healing, but the kind only your soul can recognize. Sign 1. You no longer chase closure. You used to need answers to everything. You replayed conversations until your mind hurt. You wanted to know why they left, why things changed, why it ended that way. But something in you grew tired of chasing. You realized closure doesn't come from other people. It comes from within. It's not a neat ending. It's the quiet decision to stop bleeding for something that no longer exists. Jung believed every person we meet represents a piece of ourselves we need to face. When they leave, they take the lesson with them. That's your closure. You don't need their apology or their return. When you can finally walk away without anger, when you stop hoping they'll come back, you've already healed more than you think. Sign 2. You no longer need to be understood. There was a time when being misunderstood hurt deeply. You wanted to be seen, validated, recognized. But healing whispers a different truth. Not everyone is meant to see your depth, and that's okay. Jung taught that what people see in you often reflects what they refuse to face in themselves. When they judge your sensitivity, it's because they fear their own. When they mock your depth, it's because they're drowning in shallow waters. The moment you stop needing to be understood, you reclaim your power. You realize your worth was never something to be proven. It just is. You've healed when you can hear someone misunderstand you and still stay calm, because you no longer need their opinion to define your peace. That's real inner strength. Silent, steady, self-knowing. Sign 3. You stop romanticizing the past. You used to live in the echo of what was. Old songs, old messages, memories that played like ghosts in your mind. You wondered if things could have gone differently, but healing changed your vision. You stopped seeing the past as something to return to. You started seeing it as something that taught you. You learned to look back without longing, only with understanding. Every heartbreak, every failure, every silence shaped who you are now. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." You've made the unconscious conscious. You've faced your old patterns and wounds. Now, you don't repeat them without knowing. That's not just healing. That's awakening. When the past loses its hold on your emotions, when nostalgia doesn't hurt anymore, you're not the same person who cried over it. That's undeniable proof you've healed. Sign 4. Your solitude no longer feels lonely. There was a time when silence was unbearable. You filled it with noise, people, distractions, anything to escape yourself. But slowly, you began to find peace in the quiet. Now, being alone doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like home. Why? Because you've met the parts of yourself you used to avoid, the ones carrying shame, regret, and longing. Instead of silencing them, you learn to sit with them, to listen, to forgive, to hold them with compassion. Jung taught that wholeness doesn't come from rejecting our shadows. It comes from embracing them. Solitude became your mirror, a place where you met your shadow and didn't look away. You've healed when your own company feels safe, when you can spend hours in stillness and feel connected instead of abandoned. The deepest healing is learning that you were never truly alone. You just hadn't met yourself yet. Sign 5. You respond, not react. There was a time when pain triggered you instantly. A harsh word, a cold silence, a small rejection. Suddenly, you felt the whole weight of your past pressing on your chest. You reacted because every wound inside you was still raw. But now something's different. You pause before responding. You breathe. You notice the emotion without letting it control you. That's healing. That's your soul reclaiming its rhythm. Jung believed that emotional maturity begins when we stop being controlled by our unconscious feelings. The anger, the fear, the jealousy no longer run the show. You begin to observe them instead of becoming them. You've healed when you can say, I understand why I feel this way, but I won't let it define how I act. That's growth no one can see on the surface. It's invisible strength. The kind no one applauds because it happens in silence. Yet that pause between impulse and action is where your new life begins. Healing doesn't mean you never feel hurt again. It means you trust yourself to hold that hurt gently. You speak more softly. You think more slowly. You forgive faster. That's not a weakness. That's evolution. Sign 6. You begin to create instead of escape. Once, every moment of pain sent you searching for escape, distraction, entertainment, people, anything to drown out the noise within. But healing turned your pain into a teacher. Instead of running from your emotions, you began expressing them. Through words, art, music, silence, prayer. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming whole through self-expression. When your soul stops hiding behind masks and begins translating suffering into creation, true transformation begins. You've healed when your pain no longer consumes you. It inspires you. You write about it. You build from it. You help others because you know what it felt like to carry it alone. You start turning chaos into meaning. That is the highest form of healing, when life's sharpest edges become tools in your hands. If you're creating beauty from your pain, don't dismiss it. It's your unconscious finding language. It's your inner child finally speaking without fear. Maybe no one noticed. Maybe there was no celebration. No moment where someone said, "You've changed." But you did. You changed the way you breathe before speaking, in the way you choose peace over proving your point, in the way you sleep without replaying the same story every night. You stopped waiting for someone to save you. You became your own healer, and you did it without applause. Jung believed every person carries within them a self that's always trying to heal, always trying to bring balance. You don't have to chase it, you just have to stop resisting it. Healing is not linear, it's a spiral. Sometimes you revisit old pain only to find it doesn't break you anymore. It just reminds you how far you've come. One day, you'll look at yourself and realize you no longer crave the things that once poisoned you. You no longer feel drawn to the chaos that once defined you. You are no longer fighting for peace. You are peace. That's when you'll know you've healed more than you ever imagined. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe, not just for more content, but to join a growing space where truth, healing, and self-discovery matter. This is Psyche Thera, and your journey is just beginning.